A very good morning. In my last video lecture, I discussed about India, its size and location, area, coastal areas. Okay, so I just gave an overview of the chapter, but now I'm going to discuss this all in detail. As you can see, a kind of globe representation is here of the world, and you can see that there is a line which bifurcates if you see this, there's a line which bifurcates it into two equal halves. So this is what latitude, the longest latitude, which is 0 degree, called an equator. This equator divide the earth in two equal halves. This called northern hemisphere and this is called southern hemisphere. Once again I am repeating, the line which bifurcates the earth in two equal halves is called equator, which is 0 degree, and this equator divides the earth into two equal hemisphere known as northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. The uppermost, from here you can see this is northern hemisphere and this is southern hemisphere. Now what you can see, India lies in the northern hemisphere. As I told you that India lies entirely in northern hemisphere. It lies entirely in the northern hemisphere, doesn't lie in southern hemisphere, because you can see here it is above this line. So India lies entirely in northern hemisphere. Okay, and its latitude is 8 degree 4 north and 37 degree 6 north, and longitude is 68 degree 7 east and 97 degree 25 east. So this is the latitudinal and longitudinal extent of India. Now here you can see Pacific Ocean is coming from both the sides, and there are 7 continents mentioned here: North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia. India lies in Asia, then Australia and Antarctica. So this is the representation of India's continent. This is a representation of continents, all 7 continents, and India, as well as equator, how it divides the earth. So basically you can see here India and the world. Now we'll study further. Let us see what's next. We already discussed about India's latitude, longitude, its Tropic of Cancer, southernmost point, its area, land boundary, and total area of the world. Now there's one line which you must know that as you can see I have highlighted Jungfrau Mountains. So you must know that India is bounded by the Jungfrau Mountains in the northwest, north and northeast, and these Jungfrau Mountains are very helpful to India from climatic point of view, as well as it protects India from enemies, because they cannot enter due to this Jungfrau Mountains. So it's of great use to India. And as you can see, the line is written south of about 22 degree north latitude. It begins to taper and extends toward the Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean lies to the south of the India, which divides into two seas, that is Arabian Sea on the west, and you can see on your map, you can locate on your map that Arabian Sea lies on the west and the Bay of Bengal on its east. So hope this is clear. Now if you see the latitudinal and longitudinal extent, though we have discussed, so it is the extent of mainland is about 30 degree. Okay, now standard meridian time. I will discuss about the standard meridian time, IST, Indian Standard Time Zone. So India has selected one time zone. Now you know the Russia is the largest country, and it has around 10 time zones. For India also it was easy to select more than one time zone, but it has certain consequences. I won't go for the consequences, you will study later this in your course. So if for now, if I say that Indian Standard Meridian Time is 82 degree 30 minute east. Now why it has been chosen? It has been chosen because from Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh there is a time lag of 2 hours, and this time zone it passes through Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh, which is taken as a standard time for the whole country. And one thing more, students, the latitudinal extent influences the duration of day and night as one moves from south to north. So to make it easier, 82 degree 30 minute east is chosen as standard meridian time, so that Gujarat doesn't lag 2 hours behind from Arunachal Pradesh, which lies to the eastern part. Okay, and Gujarat, which lies in the western. So hope this is clear to your student. Go through the textbook and go through the lines. Okay, now I'll discuss about the countries, the seven largest countries of the world. As you can see here, it is there. Now based on the population, though India is on second, okay, but as per the area, if I talk, India is the seventh largest country, as you can see here. But though it's an old data, okay, it's the old data. But one thing, area doesn't changes. For population, you may go for the latest data, but as per area, if I talk, the data won't change. So you can see Russia being the largest, then Canada, then USA, then China, then Brazil, Australia, and finally seventh largest country is India. And its relation with the world. India has a central location between the East and the West Asia. Since you can see, it is written here that Indian landmass has a central location. Yes, India has a central location between the East and West Asia. And second most important point, that India is a South Asian country, which makes India being a South Asian country. India has a strategic ocean routes that connect Europe in west to countries of East Asia. Now if I talk about the connection of Indian strategic ocean routes, then it connects Europe in west to countries of East Asia. That means that the trans-Indian ocean routes connect the countries of Europe in the west and the countries of East Asia. Now what next? That from western coast, India has established close ties with West Asia, Africa and Europe. So from western coast, if I talk, India has established a very close ties with West Asia, Africa and Europe. From eastern coast, India has established close ties with the Southeast and East Asia. See, you can see that it is written. I'm not talking or speaking anything apart from your book or apart from this, but the only way is that in this it has written in a very complicated way, or you can see it is tough to read the lines, and I'm just explaining the lines, or you can say I'm just reading the lines, or I'm clearing the meaning of the lines. So firstly, once again, I like to repeat that India has a central location between the East and the West Asia. If you see in your map, you will see that India lies in the Asian continent, being Asian country, and it has central location between the East and West Asia. India is a South Asian country. India has a strategic ocean routes that connects Europe in west. So to west it connects to Europe or to the countries of East Asia. From western coast, India has established close ties with West Asia, Africa and Europe. From eastern coast, India has established close ties with the Southeast and East Asia. It has the longest coastline on Indian Ocean as India, and indeed. So this is the reason that the ocean is named after India, called Indian Ocean. Now there's a fact written: since the opening of the Suez Canal in 1869, India's distance from Europe has been reduced by 7,000 kilometers. So when Suez Canal was opened in 1869, it has reduced India's distance from Europe by 7,000 kilometers, which means a lot as per export import, as per routes, as per traveling. So it plays a vital role and bring closer to India to the Europe. Well, students, just try to analyze this map. What you find in this figure, you can see a line which implies air routes, a line which implies sea routes. So this shows, or this figure or this map shows that how India is connected with other countries. So you can easily depict from this that India is connected to various air routes and sea routes for trade and commerce purpose. So now we are going to see India's contact with the world for trade and commerce purpose and for some other purposes. This contact with the world have continued through the ages. It continued to the time when there was only land road, and the contact was through mountain passes. Then later India comes into contact through maritime, that is through sea routes, and the various passes across the mountain in the north have provided passage to the ancient travelers. What I said, that India's contact with the world continued through the ages. It's not for a time being. It continued through the ages. That means a long back time, and that time when there was no maritime contact, then ancient travelers used to travel through passes. These routes have contributed in the exchange of ideas and commodities since ancient times. So these routes paved a way or made a way for the exchange of ideas and commodities. Commodities means goods since ancient times. Now, as you know that Upanishad, Ramayana, Panchtantra, these are important part of India and constitute many ideas. So these ideas of Upanishad and the Ramayana, the stories of Panchatantra, Indian numerals and the decimal system could reach many parts of the world. The spices, muslins, and other merchandise were taken from India to different countries. So this is how India share the trade and commerce with other world. And on the other hand, the influence of Greek sculpture and the architecture styles of dome and minarets from West Asia can be seen in different parts of the country. So what here you can see that the influence of Greek sculpture and the architecture style. These are the style of dome. Dome here means a half circular like structure, which you can see, and the minarets. These from the West Asia can be seen in different parts of the country. So this is how India here is connected with the other world in multiple ways. So hope it is clear to you all, and we have discussed